Resting between the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains and the bustling city of Atlanta, Cherokee County, Georgia combines the beauty of rural living with the vitality of urban cities, including the cities of Woodstock, Waleska, Canton, Holly Springs, Nelson, and Ball Ground. The county prides itself on being a place with a rich history, where everyone can come to enjoy nature, community, and local attractions. However, like the rest of Georgia and the nation, Cherokee County's story includes a long history of racial tensions and discrimination. The county's oldest Black residents remember a time where they felt less than welcome riding the bus, getting a bite to eat, or even walking downtown.
But I do remember that there was a city bus, and we had to ride on the back of the bus when we caught the bus to go downtown Canton.
Even my children, when they first started to school, I had to take them to school. They had to walk. And the school bus would come by there to pick up. There was some people out on the end that was white. Pick them up out there, but our children couldn't ride the bus. I don't care how hot, how rainy, how snowy, whatever. They had to walk. And then when they got where they did let them get on that, most of them had to stand up.
But if the bus was overloaded, if it was ever, they had the right to sit in our seats. And we would have to stand. And if they got on the bus, we would have to get up and give them a seat.
At my school, we were given hand-me-down everything. Our books were hand-me-down, from Cherokee High School, and the band instruments were hand-me-down. The band uniforms were hand-me-downs. The refrigerators and whatever was in the cafeteria, everything was hand-me-down. We never got anything new.
We got the white kids' uniforms were handed down to us. The white kids' warm-ups were handed down to us. Our sneakers and things we got ourselves, but everything else was a second grade hand-me-down from the white athletes. We had a booster club drive, a lot of what they call boosters now, but a lot of the parents got together and they had cookouts. They sold hamburgers, they sold peanuts, they sold hot dogs, they had raffles, et cetera, within the Black communities in order to get us a whole new set of warm-ups. I remember those warm-ups, they were white, and they had a striping going down the leg that was gold and blue because that was our colors. So we had our white warm-ups, they had the jackets and the pants. Man, you talking about people who thought they were out of this world. We strutted around in those warm-ups. We even went downtown, got in a car, went downtown, and got out and walked up and down the streets of downtown Canton that we were so proud. We showed those warm-ups off.
Mama would take us to, Mama was honest. When you saw my mother, you know she saw a queen, because she dressed nice, she bleeding. Your appearance matters at all time. All time. And she would take us to Marietta to get Thompson, Barton, and Lee shoes. But before she left, she would take our feet and trace around it. Because when we got there, we couldn't try on the shoe. They wouldn't allow it. And you couldn't try on the hat. You look at it, if you liked it, you had to buy it. But you couldn't try it on the seat. And that's something I meant to say. And I tell the children about that, and they'll say, Miss Pitts, that's wrong. And I say, yes, it was wrong. But sometimes we have to go through some things to get where we need to be.
I remember traveling up and down the road with my grandparents when we were going back to their hometown, like Woodland and Manchester down south. Straight shot. You see all these food places, couldn't stop and eat, couldn't go to the restroom. If you had to go to the restroom,
some wooded area.
we get out of the car, stop on the side of the road, and you would use the bathroom on the side of the road.
Black folks went through something up here. But if you bite your tongue, they'd run over you, they'd let you slide. But if you speak back, talk back, oh, you one up, you know?
But we were told rules at home. That was one rule you tell your sons. But you just tell them, don't look them eye to eye. Keep your head bowed with them. Lord, you had to appear to be ignorant, but you weren't. Your mind was always on the prize, but you couldn't let them know it.
Most of the places, food places, if you order something, like I say, you go into the back door and you wait at the back door. Same thing with medicine or the doctor's office.
Even when we went to a hospital, you know, you go in and you check in, and then they'll take you to a little hallway where you sat in the hallway until you was called. So it pretty tough, but made it through.
We just knew our parents taught us how to not say something. Yes, sir, You didn't say, yes, sir. And even when I'm my age, we say, yes, ma'am. No, sir. Always with respect. Because you was there, you didn't know what they might do to you. You were like, saving yourself from whatever they thought they may need to do to you. Because they thought we were less than a dog, less than a human being. But we could farm their fields. We could take care of their children. We could clean their house. We could do it all.
By the early 1960s, much-needed change was occurring across the country. President Lyndon B. Johnson invoked the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Yet the law was ignored by many white people.
I worked at the hospital for 36 years. It was good days and bad days. I can remember going up to a patient's room. I won't call his name, he's deceased now, but he was from Ducktown. I took his menu in the room, and he says, I don't want any ends in my room. I looked at him, and I assume that was his wife. I don't remember, that's been a long time, but it was a lady. And I looked at her, and I said, do you see any of those in here? And she started laughing. And she said, well, no. I said, I don't either. So I just kept writing down what he liked and what he didn't like. But God is so good. Before he was discharged, he sent for me to come back up there. I was a little hesitant because I didn't know what he was going to do, but he gave me this little pen. I won't ever forget it. And he said, you made me think. And he told me that a black man had robbed his mom and dad when he was little. I nearly cry when I think about it. So in my heart, I hated everybody black, but you made me think. And he said, thank you so much for coming up here.
And I remember at the service station there in Woodstock, I got a little job working out to school. Worked there 2 or 3 hours after school. And it had a black and white water fountain. And so one day I drank out of the white water fountain. And nobody said anything. So the next day it came in, the owner confronted me. He says, I'm gonna have to let you go. I said, why? He says, some of my customers saw you drink out of the water fountain. And he says,
it's all right with me, which he really didn't mean that, I'm sure. But he said, it's all right with me, but I don't like when my customers do not like it, so I'm going to have to let you go. So I lost my job.
The first time we had passed integration, and I could ride a bus, I sat in the front seat. And that was a good feeling. Good feeling. I remember walking down the downtown Canton. And I've always told my students, I taught Head Start, pre-K, and now with the Boys and Girls Club. I've always, when we studied Black history, I said, children, I give them my experience. And I explained to them that things, this is the way it was. This is not how it's supposed to be. But I remember having to step off the sidewalk to let a man and a woman pass by.
Inspired by what was happening across the country, Cherokee County's Black population became active in the civil rights movement. Local efforts came to fruition when, in 1965, 2 Black students became the first to attend the all-white Cherokee High School, officially desegregating the county. Though not without pushback, this change signified a major shift toward greater equality in the area. Integration efforts didn't stop with the school. With the help of community leaders such as Reverend Ralph Freeman, pastor at Hickory Log Baptist Church, efforts to break down the barriers of repression occurred throughout the county.
But we were very determined to see the movement continue on in our little city as well as the larger city.
But anyway, we went to the Pinecrest, and we did not sit at the bar, at the counter. We went into the dining room.
And me and another guy got up, and we decided we were going to eat at the buffet. And one lady came by, and she says, what are y'all doing here? I said, we just here to have dinner. And the owner, I think that was the owner that came out, matter of fact, sure it was. And she confronted us. And she says, I know the NAACP from Atlanta sent y'all up here. And I said, no, ma'am, they didn't. She said, well, anyway, we're not going to do anything but let y'all eat. So we come for a fight, not really a fight, but we thought we was gonna get thrown out or ask to leave. But she says, we're not gonna do anything for you, come on and eat.
We had faith that we were gonna make it through that day, and we did. I remember going to the bathroom, having to go, and that was a very touching thing because everywhere else before integration happened, we couldn't go in restrooms. We couldn't go in this place, that place. So when I went in, I felt good because it was my first time, I believe, I know it was, that I could sit down and just relax. Somewhere that I hadn't been able to do. To go into a restaurant where there were other people that didn't look like me and sit down and enjoy myself.
Generally, these courageous movements to integrate the county went fairly smoothly. Many of these events received little to no coverage in the local newspapers. One instance, however, couldn't be ignored. In 1964, a year before Cherokee High's integration, 3 Black high school students, accompanied by Reverend Freeman, went to the Canton Theater and sat in the lower level. This act set off a chain of events that neither the city of Canton or Cherokee County could ignore.
Went in the movie and we sit there, and while I was in the movie, people from the center aisle were throwing ice over there at us on the right side. So I got up and went over there and sit with them, stop them from throwing ice. Meantime, right before the movie was over, the pastor's son said, we better leave before the movie's over. So we got up and started to leave. And when we come outside, if you ever been down to the town of Canton, right there it is, the whole side over there and the whole side over here up to the theater were full of white folks. And they was out to get us. They didn't want us in their movie. So we walked down the street to an awning on a store on the corner, on Narrator Street there. Then we pursued to go across the road. And as we pursued to go across the road, the Lord just dropped this big gush of rain out of the sky from nowhere. It was a hot summer afternoon. But it started raining and you couldn't even see those people across the street.
I have been visiting with my aunt, my daddy's sister on the other side of town. And when I come through, all this was happening. And it wasn't no way I could drive through and leave my children. They wasn't my children, but the young men out there. So I stopped to get them.
What I remember basically was that when they were picked up, there was a lot of yelling, a lot of rock and throwing and pieces of wood and everything else that was coming. But they made the threat that this is not the end and that they were going to come into the communities and finish up. I do recall that when we got back to Stumptown, a lot of the men from the Stumptown community got together, got their shotguns, and was sitting up waiting for this crowd to come through, the KKK or whoever it was going to be. They were prepared for them, just like not only in Stumptown, but that was occurring in the other predominantly black communities as well.
And we were living with grandmother, and she says, now the Klan's coming tonight. I was a little kid, so, I didn't realize how dangerous that was. And she said, you take your brother Edmund, your sister Sheila, and Linda, and y'all lay down here on the pallet. Don't get up, because there's gonna be shooting. My grandmother, who was a midwife, was not afraid of the devil. She got her shotgun, and she sit on the porch, and every time they would shoot, she would shoot. And she'd say, keep your brothers and sisters down, Phyllis. I wouldn't let them get up. They'd shoot, she'd shoot. Keep them down. And we were scared to death. We were crying. But nobody got hurt to my knowledge.
Despite its imperfections, many of Cherokee County's founding black families chose to stay in the area. With high hopes for the county's future, they look back on the past with both a fondness and a critical eye. Though not nationally known, these local activists and their families have solidified their place in Cherokee County's history and the civil rights movement. We thank them for their contributions.
Well, we come a long way. And I can't say that we still have a long ways to go, but I can say we have a ways to go.
It's awful. Nobody don't know until they've lived through it, and I hope we never get back to that. We have to live like that. Because as we were all discussing earlier, the children, if people would leave the children alone, then the world would be much better off.
And I just can't see how people can hate so bad, to do some of the things that they do. How do you have the heart to hurt people when they haven't even bothered you? Somebody just trying to be nice sometime, and then you just give them the cold shoulder, treat them in the kind of way, act like you don't know them. And you don't have to know people to help them.
That's my mom.
If we could just realize we got a conglomerate of knowledge. We're all different colors. But I tell my students this, flower of black, a vase of black flowers, there's no beauty. White flowers, there's no beauty, but mix it together. It makes it together. So we need each other. We need each other. We really do. And I wish America would wake up and realize that.